Rob Huff leads the field on the first pace lap of the season. Brand new cars, brand new rules, new manufacturers, new drivers, all sorts of changes up and down the order. In fact, the only team that has seen no changes in terms of personnel is Chevrolet. You're looking at our world champion Ivan Muller. He, Alain Menu and Rob Huff stay on with the Chevrolet racing team for what I think is the 6th, 7th year in a row. They've been very consistent with their lineup, of course. Of course, Ivan only joined 2 seasons ago, but the others have been there all the way from the beginning of the programme. And with plenty of potential, perhaps yet to unlock from these cars. Eric Neve, well, you can never take anything for granted in racing, but you know that the Chevrolet guys will have slept pretty reasonably last night.
I would have thought so. I'm not a cynic, but I do believe that they've got some more in their back pocket that they're not using yet. I mean, the thing is so on the money, and they've done such a good job getting it to there. They've got a fantastic driver lineup. You know, they've got everything, every peg in every hole which they can possibly do. You know, if it goes wrong, it's going to be more bad luck, you know, or it's not for the lack of planning. So it'll be interesting to see how the others can step up to the mark to sort of give them something to think about.
Lights are out on the safety car. Our safety car driver will peel into the pit lane in a moment or two as the field forms up in 2x2 formation. They'll be given the green light if they come across their grid markings 2x2 in an even manner. Led and paced by Rob Huff. He's in car number 2 on the inside as you look at it now. And this is the view from the Polestar car of Robert Dahlgren a little further back in the midfield. Huff and Muller, Caca Bueno and Mikel Nucchia with the yellow nose. Still red, still red. They've got to stay in grid formation. Coronel's easing out one side and they're easing into the middle. They'll get waved by. No, they do get the green. So away they go. First race of the season is underway. Dahlgren looking inside Franz Enkler's BMW. Didn't get through. Thiago Montero in the middle looking for something. Huff's got the line. Muller's going to try and sit around the outside through this right, left, right chicane. They got to sort themselves out quickly. Caca Bueno makes contact with the BMW, and that was Christian Poulsen making a very good start. There is Tom Coronel as we look forward from Gabriele Tarquini's camera. Coronel with the dark blue sides of the BMW, but the Chevys are starting to check out. Bueno in third, and the BMWs and Seats now arguing among the smaller positions. Menu at the back of that little group. That's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th and 9th Menu.
It's the Seats that have lost out on that start. They've got properly doffed up, but it's Poulsen and Coronel. I mean, Coronel's moved up from about 8th on the grid, so he could be a real danger man if we think the BM's going to look after its tyres a lot better than the Chevrolets. That could be a major factor going into the second half of the race.
Yeah, Poulsen was 5th, Coronel was in 8th place exactly on the grid, and they're now 4th and 5th. Now, Andy Prio won, Sebring last night, and Auguste Farfus was 2nd in the other BMW in the GT category. But if they're watching this somewhere in the States, they'll be thinking, oh, if only we had cars that could go that well from the start of every race last year. That's good getaway from the rolling start that traditionally hindered the BMWs. And Mikel Nucchia, who started in 4th place, way down there, just in front of Alain Menu, in 8th place at the moment. And Menu now up to 7th ahead of Nucchia. So the turbo diesels, who used all their good boosting potential yesterday, last year, to get right away at the start, they don't have that advantage anymore, because pretty much every car you're looking at has a turbo engine now.
Yeah, it was interesting. The Seats obviously did have the punch in the rolling starts, and they had to be ever so careful leaving it a long time. But it's a level playing field, certainly, which, as we said earlier, made me question why they have to carry now an extra 20 kilos compared to the other turbo cars, because it's a level playing field with turbos.
Well, I think it is just a legacy of the old regulations that they're running to, and they wanted to make sure that the people who had invested lots of money and time and effort in building new cars to the new regs weren't still being hung out to dry by a second-hand car or an older car, if you like. Huff leads Muller and Bueno, Christian Poulsen and Tom Coronel 4th and 5th, and there is the second Engsler BMW battle a little further back as well. There's Christian Poulsen, Tom Coronel, and the second Engsler BMW a little further back behind Mehdi Benani and is Franz Engsler. So Benani in 10th in the Pro Team, white with pale blue, and then Engsler in the second Liqui Moly car. And between them, Alemenu not still making an awful lot of progress. He's got by Nukia and can't get away from Nukia and Montero though. You see Robert Dahlgren hopping the curbs in that sky blue Volvo, and he was complaining after qualifying and practice that he just can't deal with the turbos in a straight line, and that's pretty much to be expected, particularly given the altitude, just adding an extra little factor into the equation as well.
We did get a little bit of his in-car camera earlier on the first lap, and you could just pick out the screaming of that 5-cylinder engine. It does sound beautiful.
It does sound beautiful indeed, but unfortunately it's a little bit of a breathless scream as well. So this is a battle for fourth then. Christian Poulsen with the Danish flag on the roof of his BMW. Tom Coronel right behind. We're on board with Tom.
It does look as though Poulsen's holding Coronel up at the moment, and these two, they can't afford to let the Chevys run their own race because
there's his chance. Poulsen goes very wide indeed, and he's desperate to come back on, isn't he? And he does so just in front.
His tyres are going to be dirty now though.
Yeah, that's just in front of Gabriele Tarquini in the first of those two Lukoil sponsored cars. He and newcomer Alexei Duducarlo are the two cars in red and white in the Seat team with Lukoil colours. The other one that is redder and less white is Freddie Vart's car.
Poulsen's car is not slow down the straights compared to Coronel.
Well, it's not, and nor should it be. They are identical cars. They're run by different teams, but they were both made in Munich by BMW Motorsport, so there should be no reason at all why he's given away anything in terms of pace. And as for Tarquini, well, it's unlikely he's going to win a race here this year for the first time in not quite living memory, but certainly in a long while. But it's all about getting whatever you can, and this is the secret to being a racing driver, Matt. When you haven't got a winning car, you've just got to get what you can out of it.
Yeah, you never say never with Gabriele. He always pulls something out of it, and the one thing Seat have got is they know the car inside out, they know the tracks inside out, they know what they've got to do, they know how hard they can push with the tyres and the weight and the torque. And it's all new territory for Chevrolet. You know, they are journeying into the unknown. How hard do the drivers push? This is why I'm saying that if Coronel can get the hammer down and get up with them, put them under a bit of pressure, then they are going to have to move out of their comfort zone a little bit.
Well, that looks like it's going to happen now, because as we ride with Gabriele Tarquini, even through the final corner, exiting here over the curbs, 160 plus kilometres an hour. He is still in the slipstream, right behind Christian Poulsen, but Coronel is just starting to ease away a little bit. However, you can see how far away the Chevrolets are. Now it looks like Ivan Muller has slipped by Rob Huff, or got alongside Rob Huff at the line. Now that's Christian Poulsen drifting out wide from the beginning of corner 9. This is out of 8 and down towards the second part of corner 9. And Javi Veer making contact with Alexei Duducarlo, two World Touring Car rookies there. Well, Huff's still out front, so it must have been close at the line, because it's showing that Muller was 9 thousandths of a second in front of him on the end of lap 4. We are now on lap 5 of 14, so Muller clearly had a bit of a run going across the line and got his nose fractionally in front. But you have to assume then, Matt, that although we didn't see it from the TV pictures, Rob Huff was on the inside and held his line.
Yeah, he might have had a bit of a drag race down to the first corner or something, but if Huffy got the inside line, he'd be able to hold Ivan out. You know, there's going to be this is the time where they decide their pecking order for the rest of the season, so there's going to be a bit of, they're all starting the same way, they're all starting the same car, so stamping your authority. And Huffy at the end of last season finished absolutely on fire, but Ivan had got points in the bag, so he didn't really care what Huffy was up to. But now they're setting the precedent for the rest of the year.
Menu looking for a move, and further back, Mehdi Banani coming under pressure from Franz Engsler, and that is the battle for 10th position as Darrell Young's race comes to a premature end. Again, skating out in corner 9.
So he might have been helped a little bit.
I think, yeah, very probably, facing backwards that early in the turn. And that will be the end of race 1 for the Chevy Lachetti. Now he starts, we know already, on the back row of the grid for race 2 anyway, courtesy of the new qualifying rules. We have already our race 2 grid fixed, so he will be at the back again. Well, here is our lead trio, and there is Daryl Young. Now, lap number 1 of car 7 under investigation. That's Freddie Bart, the Swiss driver who got bounced out of qualifying after missing weighbridges, cutting chicanes.
He's not having a good weekend.
No, I mean, you know, short of waving his backside at the stewards as he was going over the line, I'm not sure he could have broken any more rules if he tried. Top 3 in the race, though, still Chevrolet. Huff the leader, Muller in second place, Bueno in third. And I think Ivar Muller will pretty much sit there because he knows that he's going to be starting just behind Rob Huff again in race 2. Much better to finish second than to clatter into your teammate in an ill-judged move. If he can't get by cleanly, he knows that the rules at any stage of the season are you can't get by at all.
I would have to disagree with that, unless he's got orders off the RML boys. I think Ivan is going to have the hammer down, and he's going to be pushing Rob as hard as he wants. He's going to be mindful. You know, he's done a lot of testing, and he knows that he can really hurt the tyres if he's not careful. So there you go. Is that Menu slipping through?
Yep, that was Menu slipping through, and that's Dudicalo, who's a lap down now.
Yeah, and I can't see RML Chevrolet giving team orders this early in the race. It's going to be a free-for-all at the minute, but Menu's moving up nicely at the moment.
Yeah, I beg your pardon, that was not Dudicalo. That was him getting by Gabriele Tarquini rather too easily, I think, for Tarquini's liking there. Let's have a look. Gabriele just trail breaks his way into the corner. I wonder if they're starting to find little spots of water out there. You can see the car of Daryl Young being dragged away in the background. Tom Coronel in 4th place, looking back at the 5th place car of Christian Poulsen.
One more lap, and Menu's going to be on Poulsen's rear bumper, so he's going to be getting stuck into the back of these BMs.
Well, the leader's lapping in the mid-22s, 120, or high 22s, 122.8, 122.9 from Huff and Muller last time round. Caco Bueno, 123.1, and he can't shake off Christian Poulsen, Tom Coronel, can he? Clearly the BMWs are working well in the slipstream behind each other, because when Tom was behind the Dane, it looked as though he had the quicker car. Now Poulsen's behind the Dutchman. He wants to get back by, so...
Yeah, but I think Coronel he's quick through the twisty section. Poulsen just seems very fast up the straights. Whether Coronel's got a little bit of a problem or something, I don't know.
Well, again now, you know, whether they have geared the car slightly differently to you know, look at different aspects of the track. Maybe Tom's gone for a fractionally shorter final drive to allow him a chance to be better in the twisty stuff. Maybe Christian Poulsen's gone for outright speed trimmed out down the straight. There are different ways of skinning a cat in this business.
There is. You want my prediction? I think we're going to see a Chevy 1, 2, 3, 4 in this thing.
Well, it's not impossible. Menu's last lap at 123.5, but that was the lap he was getting himself a little further up the order past Tarquini. Timing and scoring screens all over the place. Still says Javi Villa is between Menu and Tarquini. And Coronel doesn't exist on the timing screen. Daryl Young's car back in the garage, so the Bamboo Engineering boys and girls have a lot of work to do now.
Yeah, I think the timing screen keeper's had one too many souls.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's entirely as accurate as it might be. Pepe Oriola on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left, Freddie Bart and Javi Villa, 14th and 15th. I think we'll go with what we can see on the screen, because that does reflect what we can see on the screen, whereas the online timing is, yeah, best viewed through some bizarre Brazilian drinking concoction, I think. Huff and Muller with Bueno a couple of seconds behind them, Coronel, Poulsen and the rest. I'm not sure that Menu needs to try and catch Caco Bueno for 3rd place, but he does potentially have the speed to get by the BMWs. Problem is, you've got to pass them both together or not at all, Matt.
Yeah, well, it now does look like Coronel's holding Poulsen up, you know, and you know, if you're Poulsen, you're going to be getting a bit agitated because you're going to see Menus coming up and you're going to be getting ever so busy with him in a bit, so you just want to get on with the race.
Well, now, of course, neither of these drivers, Poulsen or Coronel, have really spent an awful lot of time testing the car. The testing has predominantly been done by Augusto Farfus. And incidentally, talking of Farfus and Brio earlier, RBM will return to the championship. They will be running the car for the Zengo Densian Motorsport entry of Norbert Michaelis when he comes to the series in Zolder.
I'm not sure when these, in inverted commas, BMW customer teams got their 1.6 kits to convert them so they could do testing, because it was BMW were very on the ball. They developed it was quite early. I remember at the end of last year, Priaulx was testing it.
Yeah.
But then again, Chevy have done, they've done the thick end of 5,000 kilometres testing that new car.
And also, it's their race drivers that were testing it. I mean, Priaulx and Farfus, they've done lots of testing. It might be a great car, but they're not here to use that advantage, capitalise on that information. And the teams with which they tested aren't racing here either. So to the teams and these drivers, the car is effectively out of a box, brand new. You've got to learn about it. Obviously the BMW Motorsport guys are there. Obviously they're easing them in the right direction with the information they've got from testing, but it's not the same as having done it yourself. If somebody handed you your car and said, by the way, it does this, that and the other, that's fine, but you've got to readapt your driving style. And you can't do it just on what somebody's told you. It's only experience that gives you that.
For drivers as well, they are, they look exactly the same from the television footage, but they are phenomenally different to drive. One, the delivery of the power, and two, with the braking capabilities with a normally aspirated car, you've got a lot of engine braking involved, so you can brake a lot deeper and later, right through to the apex. With a turbo car, you haven't got this, so it makes it a lot harder to haul up at the end of the straights.
Well, this is one of the factors that Tom Coronel was pointing out in our pre-season preview, that brakes are going to take a lot more punishment. They'll be going quicker into corners, as you say, less engine braking, which means as you bang it down the gears, it doesn't slow the car so much. So the brakes, which are restricted by the size of the wheels, which are restricted by the size of the tyres, will have a harder life. Poulsen comes to the inside. That's a good move into turn 4. Now this is through 5, 6, 7, and this is the twisty stuff that the BMW's always excelled in. Coronel's sticking on the inside, Menu waiting for contact in front, isn't he, to see if the door opens and he can take both of them in one go.
Out the way, he's saying.
Well, now again it sweeps left and then back to the right into turn 8. Oh, but Poulsen's got his nose in front and Menu trying to stick his nose in. Coronel's going to try and make sure that doesn't happen. Over the brow through turn 8.
Menu's going to be there. He's going to be like a gypsy through a kitchen window if they leave one little gap.
Well, Christian Poulsen now up to 4th, Tom Coronel in 5th place. And this is lap 12 now for the leaders of 14. So 2 to go, no safety cars. We'll have to see when the last time that happened was in Brazil. This has often been a track where safety cars have been a feature. Fabio Fabiani in the foreground in the older 320 SI. Look at the different front end on these cars. Seems to be less airflow holes in the newer car, which you'd think would be the opposite of what you need, but clearly it's all ducted to very different areas with the turbocharged engine, I imagine.
Well, they have got that big area in the middle, a big smiley face, which looks like a smiley face in the centre. They've got to get air into the intercooler, through it, trying to cool it. They've got big areas of the bonnet cut out as well, just trying to extract the heat. Well,
that's the big difference, is to get the flow straight up through, as you say, the intercooler for the charge, the air going into the engine, the air-fuel mixture, and also, of course, to cool the turbocharger running at 1,000 degrees and glowing white under the bonnet. So a lot of heat to be get rid of. Black and white flag being shown for car 11, that's Christian Poulsen, and that, as you know, that's okay. We'll sort of let you get away with that one, but don't want too much more of that sort of thing, please.
What's that?
The black and white flag. I'm sure other drivers.
I've never seen that, Martin. So
yeah,
I didn't know what you're talking about.
That's usually because you're in a cloud of dust somewhere by the time it comes out. I'm sure.
It's interesting. You spoke about the turbo and the heat of the turbo, and it's 1,000 degrees, and it's a lot of all these engines will be running aluminium cylinder heads, of which the melting temperature of aluminium is 600 degrees. The turbo is based about 6 to 8 inches away from it. So, I mean, it's a very fine. Oh, looks like they're getting busy over the curves there, but it's a very fine line, they're treading under that engine bay.
That puts a sort of different perspective on it, because you think, okay, it's white hot, it's really, really hot, but it's hot enough to melt the cylinder head and possibly part of the block and the mountings for various different things if you don't get enough heating. That really brings things back into perspective, that your engine might actually turn into a bit of a Mars bar on a warm day if you get the cooling wrong.
Absolutely. And the manifold at the back of the block, it's they'll be either made of stainless steel or Inconel, which is an improved version. You can actually see at full temperature, you can see it's transparent.
Yeah.
The stainless steel is transparent, you can see through it. I just, you know.
It's astonishing, isn't it? I mean, pictures of these things on dynos give you a very good idea that, you know, just how white hot really is. On board with Tom Coronel, penultimate lap, he's got another good run on Christian Poulsen right in front of him. Menu's got no chance of getting through here. Leaders are a long way in front. Huff, Muller, Bueno, 1, 2, 3 for Chevrolet. They're on the last lap, and so too is Christian Poulsen, Tom Coronel, Alan Menu. That's 4th, 5th and 6th. Behind them is the Seat pairing, Gabriele Tarquini. And right behind him, of course, is Michael Nukia. Well, Coronel hoping to have a lunge there into turn 1. You've really got to be a long way in front to turn around the outside of corner 1. And now he's wheel to wheel with Engstler. He got with Poulsen rather. He got a good run through. And Coronel's got the inside line.
Poulsen's got to be careful because Menu's going to be in there too.
But interestingly, Menu has still not produced the sort of lap times that the Chevys out front have. He didn't in qualifying, and we wondered whether that was, you know, trying to edge down towards the bottom of the top 10 that they got wrong. And it seems unlikely that Menu and John Waterman, with all the experience they've got, his race engineer, would have gambled so badly, and he's not got race pace either. He's not comfortably quicker than the BMWs, which clearly Rob Huff and Ivan Muller and Kaka Bueno are. And here comes Huff out of the final corner to win race 1 of the championship. Rob Huff wins for Chevrolet. World champion Ivan Muller 2nd for Chevrolet, and the Brazilian hero Kaka Bueno in 3rd place for Chevrolet. Out of the final corner, Coronel made the decisive move on the last lap. He will finish in 4th place from Poulsen and Menu. And then Tarquini and Nukia, the best of the Seats, in 7th and 8th. 9th and 10th is the battle between Engstler and Benani, and in the end, Franz Engstler finishes ahead of the Moroccan driver inside the points in the top 10. Well, Matt, pretty much as qualifying suggested, with the bow ties on, celebrating their qualifying victory. They'll keep those on for a race 1 win, and perhaps hope that Alain Menu can produce something a little quicker in race 2 than the car seemed capable of in race 1.
I can only think that they've got a bit of a problem with Alain's car because he is a class act, you know, what he's won and what he's produced over the years. So Huffy and Ivan aren't that much in front of him, you know, in talent and pace and everything. There's got to be some sort of underlying thing going on there which we're not aware of at the moment.
The car came very quickly from 10th up to 6th, but just didn't seem to have the pace to get by the BMWs. So as you see, Muller in 2nd, but Rob Huff is our race 1 winner.